Welcome, Angela. Thank you for joining us. We are just going over the definition of resiliency and what it kind of means to us, and then a more formal definition of what resilience means. And so the definition I selected for today's event is the process of capacity for or outcome of successful adaptation despite challenging circumstances. So both of the people listed on their quote are two psychologist researchers focusing on child development. And so they, as part of their research, had come up with this definition. So when we're talking about resiliency, usually when we face change, especially rapid times of change, like in COVID, is when we choose to be resilient. Even in all the moments of uncertainty, we have to keep choosing to move forward. So the only thing that is constant is change. And so the phrase I'm going to start with today is, are you willing to keep showing up? So I'd like for you to give yourself a moment to think about that. And are you willing to keep showing up during times of crisis and in everyday life? So if you happen to have a piece of paper around, or if you just want to think about this, that's great as well. So for this first interactive, I'd like you to write down as many experiences as possible of first an example of an opportunity that you lost out on or rejected from. And then after that happened, what new opportunity was opened to you that might have been previously closed. So I'll give you a moment to think about that. And then we will come around and share with the group on, if you're willing to, either in the chat or coming off mute. Either way is great. And we will go ahead and share some of those. So I'll give you a moment here. So would anyone like to share any examples of an opportunity that was lost out on, or the new opportunity that was opened after that first door was closed to you? Feel free to put it in the chat or come off mute.
Venra had put in the chat when she didn't get the job she wanted, but then got a different job that was actually paying more.
Awesome. Thank you, Venra. Would anyone else like to share? All right, then I will leave you with this. The end of one thing is always the beginning of something new. We have the option to stay focused on what's not here anymore, or become aware of the new avenues that unfold. Optimism is about the later option. It is about also seeing the doors that are being opened. It is about holding a favorable view about the future, taking closed doors into consideration and turning them into something beneficial. So now thinking about what happened after that door was closed to you and the new opportunity happened, what happened after both of those things first occurred? When the door was closed to you and then something new came out of it? I'd love for anyone to share about what that after part looked like. Would anyone be willing to share?
Venra put in the chat, I was a little upset at first, but I applied for a lot of jobs.
Awesome. Thank you.
And she says, so she knew something positive was going to happen.
Awesome. So now, looking back at those experiences, I'm going to give you a moment to reflect upon your experience. And we are going to use a little app called Mentimeter. And so I am going to have Mandy put in the website, which is just menti.com. And then there is a direct code to put in that it'll ask for, and we will go into that and you will be able to answer the questions anonymously. And I will show you what that looks like. All right, can you all see these questions or this in particular question?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, if you can go to www.menti.com and then type in the code 8091787, and then you're able to submit answers and they will pop up here on the screen. So the first question is, what led to the opportunity closing to you? So with what we were just reflecting upon about different opportunities that had been open to you after certain events, what first led to the opportunity being closed on you or being rejected from? And please let us know if you're having any technical difficulties, or if you'd prefer to just post in the chat, that's totally fine as well, if that's easier. Someone shared, probably didn't have a good interview. Yeah, certainly an option. All right. Move on to the next question. What helped you be open to the new opportunity? So when the first door closed and now you have a second door that opened up to you with a new opportunity, what helped you be open to that and partaking? And I'll give another few moments for people to submit their answers. Would anyone like to either share in the chat or come off mute for this as well? It's totally welcomed. All right, for now, we will move on to the next question. How long did it take you to realize that the opportunity was now open to you? Was there something specific that made you realize that you should take the opportunity? And what made that click to you to make you realize that it was open to you? Someone shared a day or two. Awesome. Well, that's a pretty quick turnaround, so that is great to hear. All right. what prevented you from seeing the new opportunity, if anything did? So once that first door was closed to you and another new opportunity was opened, was there anything that prevented you from seeing that opportunity? Doubt? Certainly a great answer for this one, or certainly an understandable one. So what can you do next time to recognize an opportunity sooner? Maybe if you didn't see it right away, it sounds like already we've had a pretty quick turnaround of a day or two. Is there anything else that might be able to help you or others, recognize a new opportunity sooner rather than later? Staying positive. That's awesome. All right, and for our final question, is there more room for growth from these types of experiences? So what kind of room from growth have you learned from these experiences? Or what other things can you potentially learn? And what does that growth look like? And someone said, yes, but it does not always feel good. I completely can relate to that. Growth can be scary, change can be scary, and so moving forward is certainly something that can be challenging. So I thank you for answering those questions, and we'll go ahead and come back to the PowerPoint now. So now we're going to move on to our second interactive. So if you have something to write with, that will probably be most helpful to you for our next part. So if you want to either draw this out in the squares, or if you would prefer just to make a list with categories of supports, strategies, knowledge/ideas, and solution-seeking behaviors, that would be great. So this is what we're going to go through and fill out these squares and see what you've used in the past to be resilient during challenging times and how you can use that to move forward. So I'm going to provide you 2 examples to kind of give you an idea of what this might look like. So for our first example, this one is more specific to myself. So during my master's program, there was a 12-week long course that I took about leadership and hardiness. And we learned about a lot of resilient principles. So as part of that journey, we attempted to summit and climb Mount Adams, which is in southern Washington. And so along with that journey, there's a lot of challenging times being prepped and prepared and then actually being on the mountain itself. So the supports that kept me standing was my team. We were divided up into teams of 4. And so all my support certainly came from them to believe on, continuing the journey. And if anything came up, we would solve it together. The strategies that we used, and this is specific to being on the mountain as well, was certainly water and snack breaks. Those were pretty essential for catching your breath and being able to keep going on your journey. Knowledge and ideas. So the professor's quote that he said to us throughout the journey is, we don't all have to make it to the top. We don't all have to make it to the summit, but we do all have to make it down to the bottom, essentially saying no one's going to get injured. Nothing worse is going to happen to anyone. It just matters that everyone makes it down safely. And then some behaviors that show actions we had had discussions with the team about reaching the top when there was bad weather conditions. So we ultimately had to make individual decisions and come together as a group to discuss those choices that we had made, because we had some inclement weather that came in the night we stayed on the mountain, which was about 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. So that also added a huge thing, a huge obstacle to us trying to climb the mountain. So this second example is if you had attended a job interview and did not get the job interview, which I know for myself, I've certainly experienced more than one on one occasion. And so, and I'm sure others potentially have too. Unfortunately, we don't get all the, even if we interview, we always don't get the job. So some of the supports is potentially calling your partner, your friend, a business mentor. Strategies to help move forward was going for a walk, playing with your dog, maybe you did some gardening, wrote in your gratitude journal, just kind of all depends with these of what looks best for you, but these are just some potential examples. Some knowledge and ideas, keeping in mind is remembering that growth comes from mistakes, this too shall pass. Thought about what I could do differently and wrote it down. And then for behaviors, asking for feedback from the interviewers, applying to more jobs, and found professional coaching. So now we are going to go into, hopefully these examples were helpful for yourself in thinking through this. So now we're going to move into filling out these boxes for yourselves and what that's going to look like. So I'm going to pose a few questions to you next. So for the first box, well, for the entire box, I apologize. I want you to recall an example of being resilient. So when is a time that you overcame a challenge or a setback in your life? And so once you have thought about that example, that's how we're going to go and fill out those boxes is your supports and your strategies and knowledge and behaviors is going to be based around this specific example. So I'll give you a few moments to try and think about that. And then we'll go ahead and move forward to the following steps to fill out the rest of the boxes. I'll give you another few seconds to try and come up with an example of being resilient, and then we'll move on. All right, so we're going to continue moving forward to fill out those boxes now. So the first box was your supports. So what supportive people in your life have kept you standing when it maybe would have been easier to fall down instead of keep moving forward? So what kind of supportive people do you have in your life that have been helpful in previous experiences and challenging times? Did you call an old friend, a teacher, perhaps a parent, or a family member who gave you a little pep talk? So go ahead and write down maybe the 3 people who have been most influential and supportive to you during challenging times, or write down as many as you can think of for the example. So we'll give you a moment to do that. And for the next piece, we have identifying strategies. What strategies did you use to help yourself cope with any negative thoughts or feelings that showed up in response to the difficulty? And if you would all be willing to either share in the chat or come off mute, that would be wonderful. I'd love to share some of these strategies, and maybe you can help someone else with a strategy that you've used before. So for example, maybe did you meditate, write in a journal, go for a walk, listen to a particular song, get a massage, or, what other things have you done to help through negative times?
Benra put in the chat that she would talk to a friend or go running.
Awesome. Yeah, physical exercise is a great way to release some of that, any tension or negative thoughts, or just kind of get out of your own head and out of your own way. Right. Move on to the next part. So in your third square, identifying knowledge. What knowledge helped you bounce back from this difficulty? What wisdom and insight do you hold on to from this experience? So go ahead and try and write down a few examples in the box about what that looks like for you. So maybe this can be song lyrics, novels, poetry, quotes from famous people, the saying of your grandparent, or maybe just from your own experience. A little phrase you like to keep with yourself to keep you moving forward. And would anyone like to share something specific that's been helpful for them in this situation? Any specific wisdom you would like to share with the group?
I would say just people reminding themselves that they're worthy of it. Like, don't get discouraged or maybe thinking that you don't deserve something good happening or think it's impossible for something good to happen.
Thank you, Mandy. All right, and for the final of the 4 squares, identifying behaviors and actions, what solution-seeking actions did you use to help you deal with the problem? So what actions or behaviors did you use that helped you through this challenging time? All right. So now hopefully you've had enough time to complete all 4 of the squares. And we are now going to use your previous experience to potentially look at any current difficulties you might be facing. So the next step is thinking of a current challenging time that you might be facing, a challenging situation, and how can you apply some of those principles, peoples and strategies that you used in a previous challenging time and apply them to this situation, either parts of it or maybe all of it, and what that looks like for you. So essentially, I'm hoping from this experience and reflecting back on past experiences, how you can use the resilience plan that you created and apply it to a current difficult situation, and how those resources can be helpful that you already have in your back pocket, and don't necessarily have to look for something new, and just being aware of yourself and how you've already overcome lots of challenges in your life and being ready and prepared and able to do that again. So this part is up to you, carrying out your plan and what that looks like to help you through challenging times. So this is certainly to continue moving forward and not something that's going to happen in this meeting, but only over time and through you persevering and using your resilient plan. So some questions when you're thinking about this and you've gone through the scenario and maybe applied some of these principles. Is there anything you would like to add to your plan that maybe you didn't think of or someone else had mentioned today? And in what areas of your life could you apply your resilient plan? And how might these things improve for you? So those are definitely questions to think about in the future of once you've applied this to your current challenging situation. And I believe that one of the most important things when you are experiencing a challenging time, challenging situation, and thinking about how to get through the scenario is explaining your why and thinking to yourself your why. Why is it worth it to you to persevere and get through this challenging situation? So, I mean, generally when we encounter or discover courage through resilient mechanisms that are learned and practiced, we discover our courage through those challenging times. And so just try and remember your why as to why you're trying to get through the situation and how that can be helpful to you moving forward. So that is the final interactive, but as part of this material, I'd really love to share different recommendations I have if you are looking to continue your knowledge and getting more information about resiliency and hardiness and making it through challenging times. So I have a list of people here: Martin Luther King Jr., Serena Williams, Brene Brown, Harriet Tubman, Aaron Jones, and Tyler Monk. And if you attended our workshops last month, you'll definitely notice Aaron Jones and Tyler Monk were two of our speakers last month. And everyone on this list has a lot of great information to bring, whether that's specific examples, research that they've done, or just their personal lived experience. And as well, there is 2 books listed as well: The Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and Resilience at Work if you're looking for some specific information within the work world and dealing with challenging times. So this is just where I got some of my research from, so just wanted to give them a shout out and make sure I shared their information. And then I just wanted to share with you and my story a little bit more. When I climbed Mount Adams, it was coming up, but you can see on the left-hand side, that is the outfit I went up on. It was a very sunny, clear, gorgeous day, super warm out. And then the weather system had come in that night, and it was a much different experience going down. As you can see, I'm in full layers, so the weather certainly had changed, even though it was another beautiful clear sky day. Blue sky, clear day, apparently. And so, you know, I was able to, it's just kind of showing going up and coming down. You can make it, and you just have to keep showing up every day and through every challenge that you experience. So I'd like to thank you for joining us. And I am going to now pass it on to Mandy to sum up a few things about what's happening with Goodwill. And if you have any questions, please post it in the chat. And I am here if you need anything, and Mandy as well for any good thing related, Goodwill related.
Thanks, Haley.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Mandy, do you need anything on my end?
Yes, if you can control and do the chat,
Yes.
great.
Yes.
So Haley, I just wanted to take time and thank you for that, because I mean, real resiliency is something that I think we can always brush up on our skills. Like the whole time I was like thinking about, oh yeah, during COVID, I actually had to come up with a new mantra and way to wake up every morning. And that was part of my strategies. But thank you for reminding us, okay, sometimes you gotta get that toolkit out, maybe refresh it a little bit or add some things to it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so going into the Digital Opportunity Center. So basically with the Digital Opportunity Center, we always want to make sure that we end with the information on what we have available. And right now, for our services, we have, of course, the Financial Opportunity Center, the Military and Veteran Services, Disability Services, and Ticket to Work. Ticket to Work is very good for anyone who is on SSI or SSDI wanting to maybe transition off. So it makes sure that you don't hit that benefit clips, and it gives you a little bit more guidance with that, which is a great program. We have the Work First program and the ESCA, Economic Security for All. So if you are in one of those zip codes, you will be able to have access to other employment and different things that can help you on your career path. So you definitely want to connect with our ESCA team here at Goodwill. And then we have our Senior Community Service and Employment Program, which we call CSEP. CSEP is a great program where it's like the best thing I can say is like a work study program for the senior community. So that is a very good program. And then we have the Career Readiness and Education Development. In this is a 3 weeks course where you go over interviewing skills, your resume, brushing up on math skills, because we all can need that every now and again when we're going back into the workforce. Which is a very good thing. And that will actually be coming up that class starts on March 19th. And the deadline to sign up for that is actually March 9th. We have the Microsoft Azure Professional Certifications. That is not for the faint of heart. It's if you are looking for cloud-based technical skills. That's basically what that is. And that one actually has an open enrollment. So you definitely want to keep a lookout for if anyone you know of that is wanting to get into IT in a cloud-based form, that is something that they can definitely connect with us with. The EPA, the Environment Protection Agency, that one we don't have currently running, but it will be coming soon. So please connect with us and keep that in mind of that will have stuff for HAZWOPER, forklift, different things of that nature. And then of course we have the GED testing and certifications, which right now we only have for youth. It is not open for adults at this time, but just stay tuned. And like I said, just touch bases with us. Also, I skipped over. No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead. I'm going to ask Haley to put the text messaging and the email in the chat. So then that way you will be able to connect. So any of those things that you did not see on the list and you want to know when it's coming, you'll be able to do the text DWALK connect to 56512 and be able to do that. And then you can also go to the Career Hub website and then connect with it that way and find out what we have going on. So you definitely want to, if you have any questions or concerns, you can email us at the Career Hub at goodwillwa.org. And right now we have welcome sessions on Mondays, excluding holidays, at 2 p.m. Okay. And our Career Hub newsletter. This is another way, if you don't really pay attention to text messages, another way you can do is sign up for the e-newsletter. In that e-newsletter, you'll have things about, what workshop is coming up at Goodwill for the month, what speakers will be speaking, and not only that, but it'll also let you know about, again, upcoming classes and different things of that nature, and we'll have job listings. So that is something that is always good that goes out on every Monday. So different ways that you can stay connected. And like we said about the monthly workshops, the Career Hub offers twice a month workshops. the first and the third Wednesday, starting at 1 p.m. So in April is coming up really soon. We're going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, Haley, isn't it volunteerism?
Yes.
Yes, so you definitely want to stay tuned to that. And coming up on March 17th, we have Alfie, and she is an amazing, amazing lady. And she will be speaking on the 17th at 1 p.m. I definitely encourage you to attend. If you can't, just know that we will record it and email it out to you to keep you in the loop. But she is going to bring some great information or great speaking, great person to hear. She's been with the veterans community for like 22 years. She was in in the military for 22 years, but she's an amazing, amazing lady. So yeah, so please make sure you register for that event if you have not already.
Awesome. And that is on the same link that you registered for this event. So feel free, if you have not already, to go back and check that other box for March 17th. And we, unless I miss anything, Mandy, I think we're good to go. And thank you all for joining us today.
And the survey, please, please, please.
Yes.
If you haven't already filled out the survey, these surveys really help us because our task is to make sure that we bring content to you for the rest of this year. So we want to hear from you, hear your feedback on what you think about these different workshops and speakers and things that we may have not touched on that you think we should touch on. So please, that's very important to fill out.
And we will be sending that out later because we have to make a couple changes on it to add new information. So we will be sending that out here shortly within the next week.
All right. And that's all.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay. It's just us.
Hold on.